From WBBM-TV Chicago, this is Channel 2 News at 10.
I'm a realist. Unfortunately, my family has been through this in the past, so at least I go into it with, I think, a very realistic view of what to expect.
Tonight, the unexpected. Democrat Penny Severns announces that her breast cancer has spread. What she expects to completely recover and to continue to campaign for Lieutenant Governor. Good evening, I'm Linda McLennan.
And I'm Bill Curtis. She had lived with the fear of breast cancer for years. Two of her sisters had it. One of them died. But tonight, Penny Severns is vowing not to let it keep her and Dawn Clark-Netsch from the governor's mansion. Channel 2's Jay Levine joins us with more. Jay?
Bill, she's in it till she says otherwise. That's the word from the Netsch campaign tonight, reacting to today's revelations. Severns herself acknowledged that the tough times would be ahead, but she remained positive throughout the day, warning campaign aides that today's news conference would be a no-tears zone.
Unlike Lyndon Baines Johnson quite a few years ago, I'm not going to show my scar.
Last week's lumpectomy removed a tiny tumor, barely half an inch across, from the lower inside portion of Severns' left breast. The news that the cancer had spread to 3 of 9 lymph nodes tested raised red flags. Though tonight, experts say the prognosis is still excellent.
In 1994, someone who is diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer, as she has a better than 85% chance of having a long-term survival.
The next step for Severns is radiation therapy, 5 weeks of daily sessions beginning next week. Then in September, at the height of the campaign, the often debilitating chemotherapy.
It's not to say that every day is going to be without its challenge, but
maybe I can add that I've had many patients with breast cancer who've been able to continue to work a full schedule, and I think especially with Penny's determination and her vigor, she's otherwise in excellent health, that she should do just fine.
Dawn Clark-Netsch offered to interrupt her campaign schedule to join Severns today. Severns' response, don't waste your time. Not now, anyway. The tough part will come in September, though doctors say dropping out would be the worst thing for her to do.
I would say that if this is really her life ambition and she can cope with the campaign, she should go for it. And we want the word out that being diagnosed with breast cancer is not really the end of the world.
And tonight, Netsch says there has not been nor will there be discussion about Penny leaving the campaign. In fact, a spokesman for the Netsch campaign tonight says she foresees Severns now taking a leading role in women's health issues, turning a potential tragedy into a potential triumph. Bill, Linda?
Jay, thanks.
A story still developing at this hour. A hit-and-run accident on the city's south side has killed one person and left 3 others injured. It happened in the 4500 block of South Archer just after 9 o'clock tonight. We're still getting details into the newsroom, but we do know that a mother, father, their child, and a car salesman were crossing the street when a truck hit them and just kept going. We're told that the little boy is all right. He is at St. Anthony's Hospital. The 3 adults were all taken to Cook County Hospital. 2 of them have survived. We're waiting word on their conditions. The person killed has not been identified yet, and we are still waiting for a description of the truck. We'll have more details as soon as they become available. 65-year-old Richard Bailey allegedly conned his victims, but he made little headway today in court with his judge. Bailey was ordered held without bail until he goes to trial on federal racketeering charges. His former wife, plastic surgeon Annette Hoffman, made a surprise appearance on his behalf. She told the court that Bailey could temporarily stay with her until he found work. Hoffman had their 9-day marriage annulled this spring after learning that her new husband had no credit. Today, the judge couldn't be swayed. He said that Bailey was a flight risk and a danger to the community. Tonight, Bailey remained in the Metropolitan Correctional Center. He is accused of stalking teenage girls, and now a grand jury has indicted Stephen Josepho on those charges. The former substitute teacher was in a Skokie courtroom today when the indictments were handed down. A grand jury slapped Josepho with 3 counts of felony stalking for allegedly sending threatening letters to a young girl. Police think that he may have stalked as many as 20 girls. The Des Plaines man is free on $500,000 bond, but remains under house arrest.
The 6-year-old boy is the latest victim caught in the crossfire of a drive-by shooting. Bernard Harris died this morning after being shot in the head on the southwest side last night. The boy was in a car, out running errands with his family, when police say several men in another car opened fire. A 23-year-old man was hit in the thigh, but he'll be okay. Tonight, police had no suspects in custody.
It was a discovery too horrible to imagine, too scary for the young brothers to talk about. But today, police responded to a call and found what the boys had seen. A body in a sewer in Evanston. The whole thing has left police baffled. Channel 2's Rob Stafford has the latest.
Antoine Smith and his younger brothers say they knew a body was in the sewer behind their home. They made the gruesome discovery a week ago.
We were scared. We tried to stay away from it. We were scared to walk past it at night.
Antoine's mother told me she too was frightened, too frightened to get involved. A neighbor called police today. Police have very little to go on. They suspect someone drove into this alley late at night, backed up to the sewer, lifted the cover, and dumped the body inside. This morning, heavy machinery cut through the pavement here. Investigators needed access to the sewer below. When they finally got inside, the boy's story was confirmed.
We did discover a body. It looks like that of a young white female.
A painter's drop cloth covered the body. The victim's description does not match Evanston's missing persons reports. People here say the stench has been bothering them for days.
It was so foul we couldn't even sit on the back patio. So we're thanking God it's this close to home, but it wasn't anybody here. But it's kind of scary when it's right in your own backyard.
Evanston police are still trying to identify the woman. Her body was discovered a week ago, but not reported until today. In Evanston, Rob Stafford, Channel 2 News.
Evanston police aren't releasing any more information about the case until an autopsy is performed. Those results are due tomorrow.
An off-duty Chicago firefighter is being hailed as a hero tonight for pulling two young boys from their burning home. Happened at about 10 this morning near 77th and Hamlin on the southwest side. Neighbors saw the smoke and flames and found Mahmoud Khalil, his wife, and their 3-month-old daughter at the back of the house. They had jumped out the windows and said their boys were still inside. A People's Gas man volunteered to go inside, but was pushed back by smoke and flames. Then, firefighter Kevin Krasnick came on the scene.
He got in that window, he stepped on something that was one of the babies, or one of the boys. Then he said, they're both here, took the two boys out, they took them in front, then they started giving them oxygen.
The boys are in critical condition tonight. Their sister is in serious condition, and their parents are in fair condition. Investigators believe the fire started due to a frayed electrical cord in the living room.
Still ahead, the federal government hasn't made any announcement, but U.S. Marshals are turning up at abortion clinics across the country.
Thousands of women say their silicone or saline breast implants made them sick. Now, doctors say there may be a safer alternative.
And these stairs take you to one of the scariest places in the world, but now there's a chance that House of Horrors may disappear.
You're watching Channel 2 News at 10 with Bill Curtis, Linda McLennan, Steve Baskerville with weather, and Corey McFerrin on sports.
They wear a badge and carry the force of the law. U.S. Marshals now on duty outside more clinics where abortions are performed, usually at clinics where violence has occurred. Clinics in Florida, North Dakota, Kansas, and Arkansas. It was at a clinic in Florida that a doctor and his escort were shot and killed by an anti-abortion protester Friday. The question now, are the marshals overreacting, or is it too little too late?
One lone vigilante gunman does not warrant the Department of Justice and the Clinton administration trampling over our freedom of speech.
We want investigations and we want prosecutions. We don't want another murder.
The Justice Department says the marshals were put in place to prevent copycats or a possible conspiracy. There are more than 3,000 abortion clinics in this country.
Tonight, the desperate situation for Rwandan refugees is taking a turn for the worse. A new sickness is raging through the camps, threatening to take even more lives. In Zaire, a train of dysentery may have infected up to 300,000 people. Doctors say this new strain may be resistant to virtually any antibiotic they know of. As many as 30,000 people are expected to die within the next few days. And back in Rwanda's capital city of Kigali, American soldiers are hard at work preparing an airport for relief planes. The relief soldiers say the airport is perfect for their needs. The runways are in relatively good condition and soon will become a 24-hour lifeline of humanitarian aid. Most of the soldiers will never leave the airport for their own safety. More troops are expected to arrive within the next few days. A trip to Goma proved to be an eye-opening experience for one Chicago politician. Congressman Mel Reynolds visited 2 refugee camps, each with more than 300,000 displaced and dying Rwandans. Reynolds says he was particularly upset by the sight of tractors digging several mass graves.
When I die, I know I'm going to see heaven, because when just a few days ago I saw hell.
As Reynolds made his appeal to Chicagoans for help, a nurse from Swedish Covenant Hospital had already decided to do her part. Later this week, Marianne Algren will head to Zaire to help in the relief efforts. She'll make the trip with the help of World Relief, a Wheaton-based international relief organization. This isn't the first time Algren's done this kind of work. She provided medical relief in Africa for 18 years.
The Los Angeles detective who testified that he found a bloody glove at O.J. Simpson's estate says he will file a defamation lawsuit against Simpson unless Simpson's attorneys retract claims that the officer planted the glove there. An attorney for Detective Mark Furman is accusing Simpson's defense team of making false and libelous statements published in the New Yorker magazine. In the July issue, an article cited members of the Simpson defense team as saying Furman was a bad cop and would argue that racism led him to frame Simpson. Furman wants a public apology and says that he will wait to file the lawsuit until after Simpson's trial. Firefighters in Washington state will get a break tomorrow, finally. Marines are trading their camouflage for flame-retardant uniforms and will march into the forest with their rakes, shovels, and other firefighting tools. 2 Marine battalions from Camp Pendleton, California are offering a hand. A thick cloud of smoke still hangs over parts of the state, but the weather is cooperating and keeping winds down. If you want to be like one of the guys, you're going to have to look like one of the guys, and that means shaving your head. That is basically what a judge has told Shannon Faulkner, the Citadel's first female cadet. The judge says that the Citadel can shave Faulkner's head when she joins the school's corps. Her attorneys argued for her to get a short bob haircut like most servicewomen. The judge also ruled that Faulkner must stay in a private room and not in the regular barracks.
That might keep the ranks down, would you think? Staying in Bran Castle outside Bucharest in Romania might be a scary experience. You see, this beautiful castle built in the 14th century was home to the legendary Count Dracula. You know, the fellow who liked blood? Well, his old place has fallen on hard times and is in urgent need of repairs. Cracks, foundations, and the walls could come down on a small earthquake. Trouble is, repairs would cost $250,000. That's something Romania cannot afford right now. Pity Dracula without his castle. That is scary.
Hope you had that umbrella handy when the skies opened up tonight. That was scary. Lightning and hail also hit some areas. Steve Baskerville shows us if there is more on the way.
You want to talk scary? The word of rumors are pop star Michael Jackson has tied the knot with a Presley. A story when we come back.
They're talking about hail, the size of peas, the size of golf balls, wild lightning.
It's like
been busy.
You could cook up a storm out there with all the descriptions from peas to on up, right? Actually, the weather is relaxed a little bit outside. It's calmed down somewhat, but still, you might hear some hail on the rooftop because of the picture that we still have with Doppler. You can see the rain moving from north to south if you follow the screen, and most of it now is settling down south and west of the city, but most of those storms were pretty heavy, especially around Lamont and places in southwestern Cook County and eastern Will. Sirens were off and earlier this evening. The alarm for any kind of impending stormy weather. It didn't turn out to be tornadoes, though, so thank goodness the weather was much better than it could have been. Now, the other side of it is, when is it going to improve? When is it going to totally move out of the picture? If you're waiting for somebody to get home, by the way, some of the routes might be rain-covered, like 57 and I-55, anybody moving west through 88. A lot of rain is falling in that direction. Not too bad going north up in McHenry and Lake County, so that's the best news we can give you weather-wise, but the screen is still loaded with rain. What about the other side of it, the temperatures? It has cooled off somewhat, especially near Midway, where it's only 69 degrees now, and everybody else will be into the 60s and the low 60s before the night is through. There could still be rain even around midnight or so, and then things will calm down like the winds are now officially out at O'Hare. Other parts of the story got up to 86 degrees today. More than likely, it will not be that warm tomorrow because of the front that we're waiting for to push through Chicago. But but it's kind of wavering back and forth, and that's part of our weather problems for the next couple of days. How long is this wavering weather going to act the way it is? But aside from that, you take a look at how far the storms have progressed all the way down to Arkansas and parts of the Central Plains, moving straight up towards Chicago. There's a lot to fight through, and most of those clouds represent the front that's just west of it. It's going to be pushing through and clearing skies somewhat by tomorrow morning. But after that, the cool weather that settles in is only temporary. We expect the front to come back at us about the middle of the week, and that's a good chance for more rain and thunderstorms. By the way, I can give you a little sneak preview of the weekend. It's going to be cool and in the 70s. So let's continue and move on and start with your Tuesday wake-up. Hazy sun, but there should be no rain falling, and still cooler than 70 degrees. The middle of the day, partly sunny, and a nice breeze will blow after the cold front blows through town tonight. Sunny and mild for rush hour on the way back home. The next 7 days, the ups and downs of August. The real up is Wednesday, close to 90 degrees, and it cools off. The biggest part of the weather story is that a cool and rather tranquil weekend looks like it's coming up so far.
Good
I'd like to give you a little peek into the weekend.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Here it is, the marriage made in tabloid heaven confirmed. Lisa Marie Presley says she has added Jackson to her name, as in husband Michael. The daughter of Elvis Presley announced today that she and Jackson did indeed get married about 2 months ago in a private ceremony in the Dominican Republic. She says she is very much in love with him and dedicates her life to being his wife. The reclusive newlyweds are staying at Trump Tower in New York City.
They're my guests.
They're your guests.
And they're really happy. They'll be here for a little while.
And they really are happy. That's what
They're very happy. I think they're really happy. And I think it's a great couple.
Lisa Marie's mother, Priscilla, apparently is giving the marriage her blessing. Her publicist says Presley is very supportive of her daughter and everything that she does. Life is a cartoon that we're turning into the funny pages.
Than truth.
Yes, indeed.
We will explain why less may be best when it comes to treating back pain.
Plus, researchers are experimenting with a breast implant they say is safer than silicone or saline. We'll show you what it's made of.
And the Rolling Stones tonight trying to make magic as they kick off their Voodoo Lounge tour.
The FDA is giving the green light to the testing of a new type of breast implant. The makers say it's safer than both silicone and saline implants because it's filled with a natural fat from soybean oil. They also say it could be the first implant a mammogram could see through, which is very important in detecting breast cancer. 5 medical centers around the country will test these soybean oil implants on 50 women.
It's exciting. It's exciting. Any new implant that comes on the market, I think we are going to look at it very carefully because we are excited about having an implant that possibly can be better than what we already have.
This pilot study should give the FDA enough information to determine if a full-scale trial is warranted.
A new study indicates that secondhand smoke is even deadlier than previously believed. The study says that 47,000 Americans may die of heart attacks this year caused by other people's cigarette smoke. The figures are as much as 50% higher than earlier estimates. The findings will be published this week in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. The study notes that breathing cigarette smoke for as little as 20 minutes can produce immediate changes in a non-smoker's cardiovascular system.
Most Americans will experience back pain during their lifetime. Now, a new study suggests that less may be more when it comes to treating backache. Researchers studied 1,200 patients seeking help for back pain. They found people who take less medication and move around a lot will recover just as well from back pain as people told to take more medicine and rest. Patients with the least medical attention also were more satisfied with their treatment and their doctor. And the doctor bill was almost 80% less.
Coming up next, the Cubs battle the Raindrops and the Marlins at Wrigley Field.
Howard Sudbury, sports coming. Let's get down to the baseball strike, whether it will or it won't. Howard, you have the ultimate word.
Oh, I do. That's a lot of power. How long would you stay out if you were going to lose 31 grand a day?
Oh,
About
that's
half
the
a
average
minute.
for each one of the
a half
players.
minute longer than I would strike, I think. The baseball strike talks resume tomorrow, and do you think Bobby Bonilla of the Mets will be watching closely? He'll lose $31,000 a day in salary, more than any other player
if there is a strike. The Cubs home tonight, and look out. Steve Buechele hit in the face by a fastball. Did that stop him? Nope, he stayed in the game and scored a little bit later on in a big first inning for the Cubs. Get up, Steve, you're about to score. 2-run hit to left field by Ray Sanchez. And how about the Cubs in these first inning rallies? 5 in the first, but they might need them all. Florida's coming back. It is 8-5. Cubs right now in the 8th inning. National League scores. Cincinnati wins by a run. Colorado is winning in the 9th. Montreal over St. Louis, and Atlanta beat the Mets. Who needs Albert Bell? He's gone, but maybe he left one of those special bats for his teammates. The Indians hit 3 homers tonight. Kenny Lofton hustles home on a wild one. The Tribe gained a half game on the Sox. They win 6-2 over Detroit. American League scores. Toronto and Boston working out a split. Kansas City over Oakland 4-2. The Yankees beat Milwaukee 8-3, and Baltimore shut out Minnesota 1-0. And news from Southwest Wisconsin, tight end Chris Gedney has been moved to first string because Marv Cook is hurt. It's been a rough camp for the Bears, but what is really rough on players is getting banged up and having to sit and watch. Corey McFerrin reports from Peeville.
Can you please sign this, Marv?
Sure. Tight end Marv Cook still bothered by an upper back strain. This post-practice autograph session, with a possible exception of a few non-contact drills, may be the most strenuous part of Marv's day, and it's killing him.
Well, you got 79 other guys that are, you know, bleeding and sweating and working their tails off, basically dying out here, you know, and I'm just sitting there watching them. And, you know, you don't develop that bond with those guys that you normally do, and you know, it's a tough situation.
Tough, too, for Tom Waddle, a glorified ball boy while rehabbing his strained knee. Tom, though, not worried about bonding. He's worried about hanging on.
You know, what I do the remainder of camp isn't good enough, and I'm not a part of this team. You know, that's the way it is. I've been cut before, and it's a difficult business, but it's something you have to be aware of.
Paranoia, hard to avoid when you're only an observer, like linebacker Vincent Smith, out with a deep thigh bruise.
Especially when your backup is playing so well, and I think Ron Cox is doing an outstanding job right now filling in. He has the ability. I think that worries you more than anything, especially at this part of your career.
And that is the bottom line. No matter what you've accomplished in the past, if you're not out here producing, if you're over here in the sidelines out with injury, your job may very well be in jeopardy. And every player realizes that. Tommy Waddle says it's all part of the biz. From Platteville, Corey McFerrin, Channel 2 News.
Well, this week at the Buick Open, golf star Paul Azinger makes his return to the PGA Tour, this after 8 months away for cancer treatment. Azinger won the PGA last August. When he found out he had cancer, he said he'd be back to defend that title. He will, using this week's tournament as a tune-up for the PGA.
I'll tell you the truth, this has been a great 6 months away from the game. I don't know how many people in the prime of their life can say they can leave their job for 6 months and still come back.
Zinger didn't work out or didn't play golf during his treatment, but he did work out with a personal trainer every day, and he's ready to go. The tournament starts this Thursday. Great story.
Thanks, Howard.
Fireworks, special effects, and giant inflatable dolls. Sounds like the Lisa Marie Presley Michael Jackson wedding, but in fact, it's just part of tonight's rock and roll kickoff for the Rolling Stones Voodoo Lounge World Tour. The opening night concert played to sold-out crowds in Washington, D.C. The band will be here in Chicago next month for a concert at Soldier Field.
Now, do they look 50?
No. No, I think they look great. They sound great.
What, a stage full of grandpas. That's what David Letterman calls them. And he'll be up in just a moment. Meantime, good night.
Good night.